Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first chat on true crime. Today, we're going to be talking about the very interesting and devastating case of the Slenderman murders. It's a case about two 12-year-old girls who were involved in the creepypasta world of Slenderman and ended up stabbing their little friend. Now, Maxis, what exactly is creepypasta?
So, creepypasta is a kind of a community that grew together with a bunch of horror stories that were originally just meant to scare the living crap out of you.
So
So,
essentially, sorry, for what you're saying is it's a bunch of writing exercises.
what?
It's a bunch of writing exercises. People who write their stories
Writing
about certain.
exercises, art, there's a lot.
Yeah.
but
Okay.
um it's grown past like a bunch of its horror roots and stuff and has like basically people obsessed with these characters that have been made by others and stuff. It's basically a bunch of people's OCs.
Original characters for anyone who don't understand what an OC means.
There
Uh,
cannot be that many boomers in the audience.
You'd be surprised. So, this case revolves around a mentally ill girl called Morgan Weiss and her little friend Cuntface. Sorry,
Hold
sorry.
on, no, it's Morgan Geyser.
Morgan Geyser
Mr.
and her
Weir is
little
the other girl.
yeah, and her little friend Cuntface McGee. Sorry, I mean Anisa Weiser. Farv, do you want to introduce the thing and I grab a few images?
It's either Weir or Wire. I can't remember which way it's. Okay, okay. So Morgan, to sum this up a little bit, Morgan and Anissa met while she was in school, and pretty much the only friend that Morgan had was this other little girl, Payton, who she'd known since I think they said since she was like 4 years old or something.
We're going to not show Peyton's face for her respect, but we don't respect the other two.
Well, the other two are where they are, so. Um, but at any rate, Morgan was kind of kept to herself a lot because she did have some legitimate issues with socializing, as was later found out. She had some unfortunate mental issues. So all the kids thought she was weird or creepy, etc. So she had a lot of trouble in school, but Peyton stuck with her, and Peyton was one of those very, very sociable people, and got along with everybody. But she still hung out with her friend Morgan, regardless.
Yeah.
Anissa Ware was an odd one because even back then she had this bent of wanting to be in charge of things, calling other people out, being the teacher's pet, by virtue of ratting other kids out and getting them into trouble, that kind of shit.
Yeah, from everything that I've seen of the case, it appears that Morgan was diagnosed with schizophrenia, but
And
Anisa,
dissociative personality disorder also.
poor Mike was diagnosed with multiple things, and Anisa severely hated Peyton from the onset.
From what I
Like,
can speculate, and mind you, it's pure speculation, is
yes,
Anissa didn't like Peyton just on general principle, no specific reason, but also may have been somewhat jealous of Peyton and Morgan's friendship. But I also think, given the very blatant sociopathic freaking tendencies that
vibe.
Peyton or that Anissa seems to have, is that she also saw Morgan being already an ostracized kid who everybody thought was weird and may have had some mental deficiencies, as being a perfect means for her to just do this horrible thing to this person she didn't like and assumably get away with it by blaming somebody else. But none of
Yes,
that really worked out that way.
and in the in her interrogation, which I would love to show, but for legal reasons I can't. Thank you, YouTube.
Google Tube.
Yeah. So Morgan seemed like she was ill. There was something off, but she was a sweet kid. You could tell. And she was like, where's my mommy? I'm like, how far did... She kept asking, are her parents safe? Are her parents mad? And she was the first one to ask, how is Payton? Who they call Bella. And she's there, and then when they cut over to Anisa's interrogation, she didn't ask how she was. She's like, is she alive? Which to me is not a concern. It's, do I get the bragging rights?
It's not only that. It's throughout, and Sammy observed this when I actually had you guys look at this. It's the very detached, well, obviously disassociated way in which Morgan views all this in the aftermath, as if she had witnessed it as a third party who was not involved. She can't muster much emotion throughout the entire interrogation.
Yeah, she's disassociated.
She doesn't even remember that she herself did it, other than in a very clinical fucking fashion in that she saw it. And I believe it's exactly the reason why Anisa insisted repeatedly that Morgan be the one to do the actual deed.
Yeah.
Was very.
You okay there, Maxis?
Yeah, I was trying to words for a second. Morgan was very easily impressionable.
It was partially because of her paranoia. It was mentioned that, yes, before they met, Morgan had spent a lot of time browsing the creepypasta websites, and she'd kind of gotten this odd thing about Slenderman before she and Anissa started hanging out. But then Anissa seemed to really capitalize on that and just make it so much worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
One of the things that, and this is going to sound stupid, one of the things I found interesting was when they were getting dressed up. Was Payton dressed up as a fairy princess in a pink dress? Is Morgan dressed up as Data? And Anissa went inappropriate. She dressed up as a cyberpunk prostitute.
No, it was a goblin prostitute.
Thank you.
Prostitute.
Yeah, prostitute.
Prostitute, yeah.
And she came up with that name.
Yeah. Like, she started putting on lipstick and everything, and was, like, inappropriate, and...
That could just be a sign of a preteen girl developing too fast. It does happen. But it's more the way, especially during the interview process, that she kind of looked at everything and the way she reacted to everything. You can tell at times she's just saying whatever she thinks will lead on the interrogator at times. But then other times, especially when it came to them talking about what they actually did, she was sitting there explaining how she'd went and looked up information on what happens when you stab people and shit like that.
Yeah.
And just relaying it back like it was nothing.
It was absolutely, like, so the interrogator who was interrogating was a female, and she came and she sat in and she got close to her and done everything. And Anisa turned around and she was like, I, all about me and all of this stuff.
And not only that, but whenever things would start getting into questioning, she'd always suddenly get emotional, but then recover just very shortly afterwards, conveniently.
And no tears ran down her face at all. Whatsoever.
There was not a bit of, like...
No legitimate remorse, I could tell. It was just an act. Yeah. Like a kid will cry when they think it'll get their parents to break down.
Yeah. It is really, really screwed up, like, about how they were, what they were, and everything. Like, from the interrogation, did any of you get the feeling that Anisa was bragging?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indirectly enough that they couldn't immediately point it out, but I feel like she was in her way, yes.
Yeah. And
I think I called while we were watching it, I think I called her a little wannabe Charlie Manson in training.
yes,
Because
she
it's so
absolutely
convenient
is.
that the thing she wanted to do so bad, she convinced Morgan that it was basically her responsibility to do it. Because yes, Morgan was the one who brought it up, but then Anissa was the one who pushed it along and then made sure that Morgan was the one that had to do it. Even though
Absolutely.
Morgan expressed before they did it that she didn't want to do it.
And that's the thing. I think in Morgan's skewed view of the world, that she was asking for an out.
I just feel like she just had no idea. Like, she knew what she was saying, but in her very paranoid, disassociated view of things, she believed the whole thing with the Slenderman proxy, even though that's not even a thing in the mythos that I'm aware of, is the whole proxy thing they were talking about. But she was believing this whole Slenderman proxy thing, and that she actually thought that she and her family were in some kind of danger.
Yes, Max,
Whereas
can you...
Anissa's just like, I want to kill this girl.
Max, could you explain to us what a Slenderman proxy is, just so we know what it actually is?
Hey, Raquel, John, good to see the both.
Hey, Raquel!
So, when it comes to like a proxy, it actually wasn't really verified in the mythos for Slenderman. For a proxy, it just ended up being like people that basically tried to serve, like Slenderman trying to find a like whole bigger message behind everything.
Mm-hmm.
I getcha. It's so essentially, she was lying.
Made it up, I would assume.
It could have possibly been in like some kind of fanfic or something, because you know there is like a large community that had grown over years involving Slenderman. That it could have been in like one small side of the thing.
It could have been something like on a side note. It could have been fan fiction. It could have been something somebody added as like an addendum, like years after the shit was like written.
Exactly.
It's because it's like Wikipedia. You could just go in there and just add shit, you know?
Yeah.
It's
That
all
is...
just people's different content.
Yeah. That is absolutely screwed up. That... I really do support creative writing. I support everything like this. But the thing is, in a way, her and Morgan's parents failed her. They knew their daughter was impressionable. They knew their daughter was not well. I mean, there's reports of her running through school saying that before she met Payton, saying that Snape was following her. So Bones said he used to watch PewDiePie play Slenderman.
Oh
yeah,
my
Slenderman was a huge franchise.
I saw Markiplier play it one time too, years ago.
Yeah, I remember quite a few people playing just the different like portions of the game that was made for it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like bits and pieces of the movie.
Well, there's been so many iterations of that one game. Never mind all the other games people made about it.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's everywhere. It's like it's 100% reasonable that these girls had been reading about or even played some of these games. Who knows? You know, it's everywhere.
Yeah,
it was a convenient thing for Anissa to play in, and I feel to use it to play into the paranoid delusions that Morgan was dealing with, and just use it to her advantage. Because
so I go to show something.
All right.
So here is where it happened. This is the bathroom. Now, in these bathrooms, they held Payton's arms.
Hold up. That's where they started. That's not where they actually did it.
Over here is where they did it.
Yeah, they were going to do it there. Well, actually, if you remember her explaining, they went over to where those trees were at. I think we're zoomed in right now. I think it was over there.
It was, because I was looking at it. After everything, they cleared it out so they could never have a non-line of sight. You want to know what's surprising? When this little girl was being stabbed, Look, where it is.
Yeah. She managed to go from that small grove of trees all the way across the road while bleeding from multiple stab wounds.
God bless her. She is one of the most, like, she got to about here where a man was walking his dog. When I first heard it, I thought it was in the middle of nowhere. Right?
Yeah, because they made it kind of sound that way, but it's not so much.
It's not. It's not in the middle of nowhere. It's in the middle of town.
Yeah, it's just, but stuff is just spread out enough.
It's a suburb,
especially with it being darker at the time. I believe they said that is not something you would notice immediately.
And then, so they walked all the way from here, all the way up and past Walgreens, all the way up to Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
And then past their school and everything.
And what blows my mind about that is it's mentioned that they went into Walmart before they got the bottles of water to wash the blood off their hands.
Yeah.
Did nobody notice this beforehand?
The fact is, they said something... They said something interesting, which Max has literally just iterated. It's Walmart. No notice.
Unfortunately.
Like,
but that was a little bit of a walk. It's like nobody noticed these two girls just walking by themselves with their hands all red.
Yeah.
Just before they even got to Walmart. I'm just surprised nobody noticed.
And the thing is, they said that Morgan was playing with, so when she was, before the murders, the morning of, they were getting dressed up, and Anisa turned around to Morgan and said, "It's today. We're doing it today."
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to the case and you listen, it's Anisa said, Anisa did, Anisa went.
And even though it was botched, there was premeditation even that morning, because the original plan Anisa wanted was to do it in the bathroom in one of the stalls. And what they were going to do was knock her out so it would be easier to kill her. Anissa's own words is that it's easier to kill a person when they're unconscious. But they weren't really strong enough to do it, so they went to bash her head on the wall, and all they did was piss her off. And so they had to leave the bathroom and come up with something else.
That Payton had one hell of a survival instinct.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no.
They
got away from him before that. Like the minute they bashed the head up the wall, it was time to leave.
So the way that she actually survived was honestly freak incidents, if you get me.
Mm.
So she crawled along the dirt, and the dirt packed her wounds, which slowed the bleeding.
She also got lucky in that one of the stab wounds just barely missed anything vital. They said just a few centimeters, and she probably would have been dead.
One of the things I thought was saddest was when she thought she was going to die. When she met the man who survived her, he knelt on her chest to put pressure on all the stab wounds. But the thing is, the only words she kept saying was the girls' names. Over and over again, so he'd remember their names.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely devastating, but smart Tegan on her hand. Now, Payton actually grew up, and she is a advocate for self-defense classes for children.
Good. She should be. I mean, after that. Now, I want to discuss, I mean, we can get back to the case itself. I want to discuss what I feel is a flaw with the way that this was handled afterward.
Of course.
Now, granted, there was no way in the nine hells. I feel like they probably should have been tried as adults, but with the nature of the case, I also see that probably was never going to happen. But it's the fact that, okay, nobody thought they were going to try them for anything other than an insanity plea after what they did. I understand it, especially in the case of Morgan, who is legitimately impaired. What bothered me, however, is how easily Anisa got off on this. How little she actually took away from this. Because it was apparent, I don't know if it was too convenient for the prosecutors or too difficult for the defense, or if the case wasn't logged in such a way. But Anisa was treated merely as an accomplice, basically, and didn't even get as severe of a charge as Morgan did.
So I'm going to show you, building on what you're saying, Farv.
Yeah.
Going to show you this because I don't want to show Peyton's face. Right? If you look at this is Morgan now, okay, and this is Anisa.
Morgan still looks lost.
She is, but look at how stuck up.
Anissa, I mean, the thumbnail you used for this is a perfect parallel to that because Anissa is still just looks smug and bored with everyone.
Here it is.
It looks completely apathetic.
She does not give a rat's ass. She's just being inconvenienced.
Yeah. Like she's literally nearly laughing
That is a
there.
fucking sociopath.
And the fact of the matter is, she's after getting out of her.
I was actually about to get to that. Here's the problem. Morgan got 40 years. Her sentence was 40 years in a full lockdown mental institution.
It's worse now.
Yeah,
it's
I
life.
know. It is life. But Anissa got 25. And the worst part of Anissa's 25 is she got out last year at age 19.
She only served 7 years.
Yeah, she served 7 of her 25 fucking years after what they did. Especially with her, if you really put any thought into it, as the fucking prosecution, her part in it was the literal mastermind of the thing. Yeah, Morgan had a crazy idea, but Anissa was the one who did the actual planning and pushed for it to get done again. When Morgan freaking backed off on the idea. And yet Anissa got a 25, almost half the sentence that Morgan got is what Anissa got. And then she got off after 7 years. Right back into society.
One of the things with Anissa that I thought was really strange for someone who's playing along, if you get me.
Mm-hmm.
So Morgan dropped the knife and held her ears.
Mm-hmm.
When she was shouting, and closed her eyes and started singing. Anissa grabbed Peyton's legs and started screeching. She's alive. Stab her again.
Like I said, she is the true monster in this because she was a fucking manipulative sociopath who saw an easy means to handle something that she didn't want to dirty her own hands with.
Yeah, Max, you pointed something out about things that were described about Morgan. That she was stimming?
Yes. So
What is this?
I'll say you go ahead and explain to people what that is.
So stimming basically is just like either basic hand movements or like it could be voices like mouth movements and like actual like noises that tend to bring a tiny bit of dopamine to a neurodivergent like mind. So like for example, like waving arms around, like a specific noise, like
yeah.
It's an odd.
Give me 1 second. I'm just responding to the chat. Jet Sparks, we are going. That is a good question. I have highlighted it. We will highlight.
I will give my opinion on that once.
Yeah, but Max, guys, you were saying.
So, but with the stimming and such, it could be just the tiniest little things, and it keeps like the body moving, and keeps the mind going, to where they would actually be able to focus a little bit more properly.
So, do you think that she could have been on the spectrum in her own way, or else that it was because of her schizophrenia?
It could have been either.
It could have been because she's got dissociative and paranoid schizophrenia. I mean, it could just be a desperate attempt to comfort herself. It could just be instinctive, really, or reactionary.
Yeah, like when she was singing the song, that was definitely comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm just going to highlight channel friend Jet Sparks. Farv, I'll leave this over to you.
Yeah, okay. While I think she might want it, I think one of the biggest mistakes in how Anissa was handled is it has let her leave incarceration older, wiser, and more educated. Because now she's seen what happens when they got caught. and now she's seeing what the system is and what it'll do, and now she's free. So while I think she might want revenge, I think she's too smart. She's too smart, and now she's had the experience. If she wants to do it, she's going to find another proxy to do it for her, and she'll find someone else that she just decides she doesn't like on a moment's notice because she's a sociopath. She has no empathy.
So a bit of a backstory here. So Morgan had no friends up until the 3rd grade. And she then met Payton when they were 9 years old. Payton became Morgan's friend. Now, Morgan said that Payton's friends, Chloe and another girl, Louise, didn't like her. And all I used to do was smile at them, which broke my heart. Hearing about it. And then, I don't know how they met, but they met Anisa.
They met at school.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, the exact circumstances.
Well, no, they literally met in class.
Gotcha. So they met in class, and they became friends. But Anisa did not like Payton.
Well, Payton didn't like Anisa either. She tolerated her because of Morgan.
Yeah. And Anisa did not like the fact that they were best friends. At all. There's one question I have. Where the fuck were the parents?
And I've never seen any answer to that. I mean, beyond Payton. Now, with Payton's parents, I do understand, because there's mention in the case that when Anisa and Morgan started hanging out, Morgan started acting more and more strange and getting into more trouble at school, and that Payton's mother said that she didn't really want her hanging out with Morgan anymore, but Payton, being a kid, just wouldn't hear any part of it and just kept doing it anyway.
Absolutely. But you'd think Anisa's parents would have picked up on something.
Well, we honestly have... Here's the thing. We honestly know next to nothing about Anisa's parents. For all we know, Anisa's parents may be the reason she's this way. I haven't ever heard anything about them.
So, I've been watching other teen true crime cases.
I got another one for you when we do this again.
Oh, of course. But there's if you remember the case of the 15-year-old girl who said, "I just wanted to know what it's like to kill"?
Yeah, I do.
In that, going into this case are spoilers. Her grandmother was sitting in the room with her.
Mm-hmm. Because she lived with her grandparents.
Yeah, but the thing is, their parents weren't with them.
Well, there was a reason in her case, and that's because her grandparents literally had to raise her.
Hold on. Bubba says parents have been letting TV, streaming service, social media raise their kids for some time now. To
some extent, that is the problem, but this runs much deeper. That would just been of a slightly coercive influence in this case.
Yeah.
Untrue.
Yeah, nobody tried to help. The school never said anything. I mean, all of Morgan's drawings have been...
We know before this that Morgan got suspended from school, and that actually really upset her, but apart from that, we don't really hear any other, Now, it may have been because it wasn't necessarily relevant to the case, thus they didn't bring it up, but...
So, I'm going to show another exhibit.
Okay.
Max, hit the lights.
Wow.
So, I'm going to go into...
Oh, the drawings.
Screw my cookies.
That brings some memories.
Yeah, but Max, you're not a serial killer. At least I hope not. If you are, that'll be great content for the channel.
No.
Aw. But look at this.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then there was some of the other stuff just they showed in her notebook where she's like, all the little quotes and notes from Slenderman, never alone, safe or dead, that kind of crap. like all scribbled in her books.
Always watching, no eyes. Maxis, are these quotes from Slenderman or are these crazy quotes?
It is a mix of both. So, with some of the ones that you see on here, some of them are directly like ones that look just like the ones in the game, and in some of the wiki like posts and such. Whereas others, it tends to go more towards the fan side of a thing.
I get you. Now, this is what I find the creepiest. I'm going to just solo panel this.
You mean the fact that she listed off stuff for different killers from fucking creepypasta?
Yeah.
That feels familiar.
But, no, it's not things... This is what they need for the murder.
They had Ben on there?
They had Ben listed on there for they needed a spray bottle to fend off Ben, who's another creepypasta killer. They had pepper spray for Jeff.
Jeff the killer.
Yeah, they believe that they were going to go and live in the creepypasta house where all of them were staying. Like, all the creepypastas live together.
And I don't believe that belief
It's not all of them.
No, it was like they listed 2 besides Slender Man. But the point is, during the interview, Morgan brings up that she mentioned when this was brought up that even she had enough wherewithal to be like, well, we can't just... She's like, we're going to go out here and die. She's like, we can't just live in a forest. So it was like another one of those moments of clarity she had where she's like, well, we could just go there and die because we can't just go and live in a forest. And then it's another time where Anisa had to give her that nudge back in the direction she wanted her to go.
There's poor Morgan.
Yeah, that's like afterwards. It's like she either looks completely disconnected or just sad. There's no other setting for her.
I think she...
Like, portion of sadness going on and stuff, but it's only like a remnant to how far gone she is.
I feel like that's true. And it's like if you look at some of the more modern stuff where she's appeared in court or from her time while she's been at the hospital, she just looks that much emptier. She looks that much more lost.
I think in her heart of hearts and in... Hey, Milton Dork. Milton, if you want to come on, I'll drop you the link. He's followed cases like this.
Ah, gotcha.
Please talk. But I think in her heart of hearts, that you were saying that she was sad and she was lonely and things like that. I think she was. I think she's like, I just tried to murder my best friend, the only girl who was ever my friend.
Well,
I think she knows.
Do you remember one thing that was mentioned? And I believe it was by Anisa, actually, about right after they stabbed her.
Go ahead.
She mentioned that Morgan was over there while they were deciding what to do, trying to clean her wounds with leaves.
Yes. That's her trying to help.
I just think there was so much conflicting information going on there with her perception as impaired as it was that some part of her was already regretful of it, but this whole thing that had been going on with Anissa had her dead set convinced that it was necessary. But even during the interview, when she mentioned that, she couldn't really explain why.
She was asking really weird questions. Like, did she survive? How is she? I'm there thinking, that isn't someone... Like, if I murdered you, or tried to, right? No, I'm just saying, right?
Well, Potato failed miserably.
I mean,
I follow your point.
Yeah. When they removed the knife from my dick, it's like, I didn't bring one. Where that came from, I don't know. But the thing is, I wouldn't say, if I hated you, more than anything, I wouldn't turn around and go, did he survive? Yes, you tried to pack his wounds with leaves and tissues and things like that. Yeah. Is he okay?
Yeah, it doesn't add up.
No, I'd be like, the fucker dead.
And it's been made very clear that in no way did Morgan hate Payton. They
No.
were best friends, but for whatever reason, with this paranoia and dissociation around this Slenderman thing, Anissa gave her just enough nudge that she acted on doing this terrible thing. And then, while maybe not great at expressing it or doing much about it, it seemed like she did regret it in her own way.
I think so as well. It was devastating. Like, I did not like, this is going to sound strange. So, Ireland has a huge food culture, right?
Yeah, okay.
What you do with food, different types of food, kind of has different meanings when you're trying to cheer someone up.
Okay.
The thing is, I was looking at how they were eating, and Morgan's was weird. Like, I'm looking at this like, okay, how can she tell anything? Like, she was picking at the food. She started crying during when she was eating. Right? But Anissa did not. Anissa sat there and ate her burger like there was nothing wrong. Like, she's like, I'm in another room, num 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 num. Who does this?
A sociopath.
True.
Trust me, I know one, okay?
Yeah. I know. Dude, she's on the stream. Don't.
No,
Shush.
no. Shame on you.
Hey! It's the bird noises. I miss those. But,
Okay, Maxis, you're up again. There's
okay.
question.
So, it was. We said it earlier.
What is creepypasta? Okay, so creepypasta is a gathering of a bunch of either short stories or some like works that ended up in a little bit of a more dark nature, where it was basically a bunch of like horror stories that you would feel like in the night.
I have a good comparison actually, Max. Does anybody here remember those old stories? Anybody ever went to summer camp or sleepovers or whatever, where people would tell like those old stories about the motherfucker with the hook for a hand that killed people in their cars?
Camp stories and things like that.
Yeah, they're basically like an evolution of campfire fucking horror stories.
Yes.
Sorry, drop my mic. I personally would. Bubba says a creepypasta is made up of online stories meant to be scary, but ends up being cringe.
A lot of the creepypastas, when you get out of your preteen, teenage years, come across as really fucking try-hard or edgelordish.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Your point. That made them enjoyable in a different way sometimes.
Well, yeah, if you're there for a laugh.
But the thing is, you have a normal brain, Maxis. Anyone who watches this has normal brains. I hope.
You hope.
You're not going to go out and say, okay, I'm going to go and summon Slenderman, so I'm going to kill the sentient potato.
Actually, a good impression.
Thank you. But Anissa is a sociopath, and Morgan's brain is fried.
Yeah, I think it's about as impaired as it can get and remain functional in any way at this point. And I'm sure that whatever the fuck medication they got her on in that place is not helping.
Probably Vyvanse.
There is a man on TikTok who relies on his TikTok followers to tell him if his hallucinations are real.
Oh, Jesus, that's not fucking safe.
And he says, it's so... Max, do you know the guy I'm talking about?
That
skinny, long hair and a beard.
No.
Okay.
That is really fucking hazardous.
His life is hell.
No fucking kidding. When you're
Like,
relying on motherfuckers on a social media app to tell you what's fucking real.
so he met this girl.
Didn't even use like the five senses technique to like help.
They don't work for him.
Oh Christ.
Like he turned around and he said that his wife bought him a dog, right? And he said that when she handed him the dog, he said, "How bad it is? Are you holding anything?" Like, this is how bad schizophrenia is.
This guy is married, and he's asking motherfuckers he doesn't know online for this kind of
Yeah. It makes it even sadder for Morgan.
Time that his wife gets him some help. And honestly, in that regard, I feel like I don't want to blame it on her parents because let's be real, it's a really, really unpleasant situation that you can't look at that unless you've got experience and say you have any idea how the fuck to deal with something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that maybe getting her away from Anissa sooner maybe should have been on the menu.
Yeah, Michelle, it's more in the weirder side of the nerd fandoms, if you get me. Like, that's where we found Maxis. She was hiding underneath a pile, and I had to bring her. I'm like, treats, and she's like, yay! And then we kept her.
You know, Bubba, that makes sense, but at the same time, it's fucking tragic.
They do, and it is tragic. But the thing is, his wife has got him help. He's in therapy. He's on proper medication.
Well, that's
but he can't. He cannot trust his own senses. Like, it's stuff. His dog is trained to see if there's hallucinations, right? And he says it makes him laugh, which he needs. He said because he's there and he's like, just say, Sparky, is there anyone here? And Sparky's looking up. I'm like, Dad, what the hell are you on about?
Just a...
Okay. Okay. So she has happy news, okay.
Happy news?
So, turning around and looking at the way he is, looking at the way others...
Oh, hey, there you go.
Hey, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
That's wonderful.
But he turns around and he said it's even so bad that he was eating pizza one night, sitting down, had a beer, watching TV. His friend came over. The dog interacted with him, made sure the friend was there, and his friend said, "What are you doing?" "Having pizza, man." "Dude, yeah? There's no pizza here." He said, "What?" He said, "I ordered it yesterday." "Yesterday, everywhere was closed. There was a storm. What have you been eating?" "Sure. I won't be on tomorrow, but I should be on either Friday, and if not this week, because I have some personal stuff going on, definitely next week. I'll bring you on."
Yay.
I don't know what is going on Friday?
So with stuff going on, we're agreeing we're holding off the stream this week, given real world stuff.
That's what I figured. I didn't think we would do anything this week.
Got it. No worries. So yeah, so we'll be doing 2 streams a week for next week on. This week we're going to not be doing a Potato Revan stream on Friday. So, yay. But next week we will be going live again, talking about nerd stuff, and then more real crime stuff. Mm-hmm. Hey, Kronos, good to see you, man. So, do you think there is any hope for Morgan? I'm not talking about in the real world. I'm just mean, is there any way she can make any little life for herself?
I personally would like to think so, but given the severity of both of her conditions and the way that they kind of play off one another, I'm not honestly sure. I don't like to say such things, but she may be in the safest place for her to be.
Oh yeah, I don't think she should be out, but the thing is, I think that maybe she could get a little job there, be a gardener. I know that she can't have much of a life. She will never marry, never have kids. I mean, sad to say the way prison is, won't say she won't ever have sex. But there's so much on life that because of this one incident, due to her illness, that she'll never do. And Anisa will get to do all of them.
Yeah, and she don't deserve it.
She does not. Any thoughts on anything, Maxis?
No.
Wow, Kronos.
It's unfortunate that all this had to happen to a very impressionable kid during that time.
And there's two by all technicality, and I know one of them was at least partially responsible. But there was one victim and then one person who never should have been put in the position she was.
Mm-hmm.
And neither one of them really deserved this.
No.
Yeah. And
that's it exactly, Bubba.
I have some weirds to ask you, Max.
Yeah.
So, because you used to be a fan of the creepypastas, right? Did you see any mention of this?
Actually, there was
Hey man, good to see you. Getting his YouTube sea legs. Mentally, I needed to find my heart. I'm still trying to find my voice. Without all of the anger, drama, and politics. Man, you are welcome on our streams at any time.
Your best bet is to handle it the way I do and just don't talk about none of that bullshit.
We don't... Yeah, Potato Revan is apolitical. We don't get into politics. Max, I'm sorry for interrupting you.
It's fine. You gave me just the right amount of time to, cough my guts out. That's all good.
Jeez. Okay.
You're welcome.
But, when it came to, a lot of the creepypasta thing, the community ends up so large that it's really hard to tell exactly what happened. It was also really hard to tell if there were fact or fiction in there. I honestly do not remember hearing anything about it. But
it
that
could
also
be
was years ago, and my memory is shite.
Yeah, it could be also a fact that, given what creepypasta is, that if this happened, when this happened, people would not have thought it was real.
No, they would have been that never happened.
So yeah, good joke, lads. No, lads, I'm serious. Of course. It's like in the Sonic forums, people did not think that Chris Chan was real.
I think that's a little bit different.
No, I'm just talking about in forums when weird crap happens, people don't think it's real.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, because it's the internet, and by and large, let's just be honest, a lot of people and organizations and
a lot of people make shit
is
up.
full of shit. It's just crap made up to get people's attention.
Yeah. This whole case and the fact that she survived is just all weird and devastating. And Farv, you were talking about the mishandling of the case. You want to bring up some of the points?
Oh, I already did. It's the sentencing was god awful. They completely I feel like it was done honestly, not necessarily out of convenience. I don't think it was malicious, but I think that the prosecutors and the authorities and the court wanted to get it out of the public eye and shuffled away as quickly as they could for the sake of everyone else in that community.
Yeah.
Which is not necessarily the best solution for the people involved, but I feel like they thought it was the best solution for everyone else.
Actually, Stephen, it's not paranormal. What it is, essentially, just from our vernacular, it is a writing exercise of people stretching their creative legs, creating original characters. That these two, that this impressionable mentally ill teen and this cunt face believed was real. And none of this has to do with paranormal. It's just a case of mental illness going unchecked and a little bitch being a cunt. So Tony here says, oh guys, go check out Tony. He's a fantastic guy, horrendously undersubbed. For every sub Tony gets, Raquel gets a cookie.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've been hoarding her cookies.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm sitting on a giant pile of cookies right now. So yeah, Steven says it is difficult to watch children. It is sorry.
Yeah,
it's difficult when children are responsible for such horrible acts.
And it's not even it's bad. It's not even a matter of it just being these fucked up, spoiled teenagers or some shit like that, where they just were on drugs or got a bug up their ass and decided to be assholes. Because even that's stupid, but it makes more sense from a very base standpoint.
Yeah.
This is just like they're 12 fucking
evil.
years old.
These are babies.
Their minds are still developing.
Yeah.
The human brain does not develop until you're 25, and when you're 25, your brain is fully developed. I'm sorry, Max, you're stuck the way you are.
Oh, wow.
But what?
Kronos.
Hold on. Hey, Bubba, what's this link for? Oh, yes, this is Tony's stream.
Yeah, that's Tony's.
Bubba, thank you. Yeah, guys, go check him out. He is an absolutely fantastic guy. New streaming, like, Tony really, really needs the support. And everyone here at Potato Heaven really likes to help each other.
Yes.
But my opinion of the mishandling, and I don't know if any of you have interactions with the police. I don't want to get too personal, so I'm not going to ask people questions. But I'm just saying, the fact that she is in the room with no representation, just those two children by themselves, with the interrogators, trained people who are trained to pick you apart. Where's their protection?
It's a good question.
Where's their representation? Where's their parents? Where's their lawyers? Where's everything like that? They should have been there. They should not have had Officer Doolittle to interview Morgan. They should have had a mental illness liaison officer with them. They should have had the parents in the room, and then they should have had Officer Doolittle to see them. It is a travesty that they didn't. Like, and they turn around and they're like, do you understand your rights? Yeah, I had my rights read to me in the car today by a cop. Do you know where you are? No.
No, she had no idea where she was.
I'm in the police station. How did she tell she was in the police station? She looked around. If I was the police officer and they said, do you know where you are? No. You're in the police station. Turns around, looks around. I would say, okay, I'm pulling a halt to this. I'm pulling in my liaison officers and I'm calling in her parents. Also, Farv, I love your avatar, Detective Wolf.
Temporary just for these.
It is, but hey, I love him. So, Farv, given that we have 5 minutes left, tell us about your book.
Well, Sammy, you want to do it because you've actually been reading it.
I would talk more about it if I could actually breathe at the moment.
Girl, are you all right?
She's having a coughing fit. So,
now I'm worried about you.
Tell us a bit about your book and your channel then. At least try and sell yourself.
I actually just put the links in the chat.
And thank you very much.
Well, my channel is a gaming channel, and the only time politics ever gets brought up usually is if it's stupid Hollywood political crap or stuff in gaming news, and that's even then it's rare. We usually just talk about games or talk about the games we're playing. My brother is on my channel reasonably often, depending on what we're doing. He usually shows up for the Zombie Army streams on Wednesday. And he oftentimes is on the Guild War streams on Thursday, and he is in some of my recorded stuff when we do it. It just depends on which game it is. Now, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
My book is a fantasy novel. It's the first in an ongoing series. I'm not going to leak too much about that, but it's about a sorceress and a werewolf hunter. Oh, yep, there. She's got the book right there. About a sorceress and a werewolf hunter who are basically trying to figure out who destroyed the sorceress's home and killed the majority of her people.
Nice. It's like, yeah, it is good. You understand my situation with it.
Yeah, I do. And I don't blame you for that. You can't help that.
Yeah. So I would like to also tell you guys to go check out Raquel's gaming channel. She's streaming there with her PS5. We will be streaming Gotham Knights soon, and we will also be doing Harry Potter games. I'll be streaming House Slytherin, the best house ever, on this channel. She will be streaming House Gryffindor, the bitchiest house ever. Yeah, and then Max's here is going to be the know-it-alls, House Ravenclaw.
Pickle.
Make me. So, then, when you're doing that, for more of your Raquel needs, because I know that most of us guys likes to hang out, likes to go, likes to chat, Raquel does a art stream where she's on part 10 million of doing a painting, but she's doing these paintings which she's like, hey guys, if you want to do art stuff, come on, or if you just want to talk, go there. It's fantastic. We meet people like Milton Knowles, Stephen, Michelle, everyone like that there. She's a great creator and everything like that, and her gaming channel is underloved, so go check them out. So yeah, guys, go on Twitter to @GeekHeroBubba if you want to see him annoying people on the political side. Now, I said earlier on that Potato Revan is apolitical. And the reason for that is that politics suck. And I do not want to be talking negativity or anything like that on my channel. I want this a place for people on the left, the right, the middle, French, to come and laugh. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone wants to come, you're more than welcome. Raquel's art streams are absolutely awesome. She's also doing, I believe on Thursday, she is doing her Wednesday review of episode 7 and 8, and then she may not be active for the weekend as she has some personal stuff coming up. So go check her out, and next week everything is back to normal. So guys, thank you very much for joining our first ever true crime stream. I've wanted to do these for a while. Anyone is interested in joining these streams, just ping me, let me know.
I do have a standing question for our next one, because I already got. Of
course, do you want to talk about it backstage?
Well, no, because I got to take off when we're done. But what I was just going to ask is, are we going to try and do it on Sunday again, or are we just trying to do them on Tuesday?
Tuesday. Because I want to give it space between the Friday stream and these ones. Okay.
And
Max,
Sammy, can you manage that?
I'm to watch it.
Yeah.
Sammy, I can link it to you.
Just giving the heads up, next week's stream is hard because me and Far both agreed that we wanted to get next week's stream out of the way.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to say thank you absolutely for everyone. Stephen, we missed you, and we hope to see you again. I I'd like to thank everyone for watching. Naya, thank you for watching. Kronos, Michelle, Tony, John, everyone who absolutely watched. And some guy called Farv. I wonder who he is.
Don't start stealing my brother's bit, okay?
Or did he steal mine? Guys, thank you all. Have a fantastic night. Good night and God bless.